And thanks for joining us here on the News at 10. Bryan Kohberger was back in a Latah County courtroom today where a judge heard arguments from his defense and the prosecution over multiple issues. Kohberger is the man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students in a home just off campus in November of last year. And just yesterday, the prosecution filed their intent to seek the death penalty if a jury finds Kohberger guilty. And News Channel 7's Morgan Romero was in court in Moscow this afternoon.
Good evening. Today's hearing in Latah County District Court lasted a lot quicker than a lot of us expected, and when it was done, there was a lot of confusion throughout the courtroom. 4 items were originally on the calendar to be taken up today, but only one of those issues was addressed, and that was 2 motions to compel discovery. That was the only thing that attorneys discussed in front of the judge. I'm told the attorneys are working on the other issues together behind closed doors. Those would be the motions to release grand jury proceedings, as well as a motion to stay or pause proceedings. A spokesperson with the Idaho Judicial Branch says it is not unusual for attorneys to do this. But the prosecution and the defense do disagree about whether or when certain records should be given to the defense. Attorneys were also supposed to take up a 3rd motion to compel discovery. That has to do with the defense wanting documents related to DNA and genetic genealogy investigation that led to Kohberger. But yesterday, the state asked for more time to respond to that ask, and the judge, John Judge, granted it. As for what was brought up in court today, the defense wants training records of officers who did interviews with key witnesses, followed up on tips, and collected bits of evidence. The state says it's out of scope under Idaho rules, and they won't call those officers to testify at trial. They say it's not material to their case. The judge says he'll consider arguments from both sides on this. He'll look at case law, and then he will make a decision. Kohberger's defense attorney, Ann Taylor, is still asking prosecutors for investigative reports and conclusions from all cell phone analysis done by the FBI CAST team. They set out to find the location of Kohberger's phone. This information was used in probable cause affidavits to arrest Kohberger, as well as get several search warrants. Taylor also wants reports from the FBI forensic examiner related to the change in the year of the white Hyundai Elantra that they were looking for in their search for the suspect in this quadruple homicide. She said prosecutors told her they'll give her some of that info, but they don't know when. So she asked the judge to set a deadline.
And as the court is aware, the state has filed its notice of intent to seek death against Mr. Kohberger. These are critical, relevant materials, all of them, including the police training records. They're necessary for us to prepare and present our defense of Mr. Kohberger. They're necessary for us to do our investigation. They're necessary for us to prepare our case and our motion practice moving forward. These are things that we need to have. There is a heightened standard now that the state has filed its notice of intent to seek death, and these are very relevant, critical bits of information. They are discoverable, and we're asking the court to order that they be supplied to us.
So, Ms. Taylor's correct. She has everything that the state has in our possession, and we have worked diligently and consistently in getting her all the information that we have in a quick fashion. To date, we have discovered approximately about 13,000 pages of reports, 13,000 photographs, over 10,000 tips, and over 51 terabytes of audio-video information.
In regards to that 2nd motion to compel that information from the FBI, the judge set a July 14th deadline to compel the FBI to give the prosecution and the defense that information. There may not be hearings on those other issues I mentioned earlier, the grand jury transcripts and the motion to stay proceedings, if the attorneys on both sides can work it out amongst themselves. So we will be watching closely on the Idaho Judicial Cases of Interest page. Back to you.